Have you ever looked at someone, maybe a colleague, an entrepreneur, or, a creator, and just wondered how they managed to achieve so much more, faster, stronger than everyone else? Even though, deep down they have the exact same 24 hours in a day that you do. It's almost impossible not to sometimes.
Right.
You see their path just accelerating while yours feels, well, stubbornly linear.
It's the classic mystery, isn't it? That output disparity. We often chalk it up to maybe inherent talent or luck.
Or just working crazy hours.
Exactly. Or maybe they're just grinding out 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
But as our source material for this deep dive really clarifies, the fundamental difference usually isn't the amount of time they put in.
Okay.
It's more about the quality of the skills they've developed. Specifically, those skills that are notoriously, well, difficult to master.
Exactly. We are talking about the skills that really test your patience, your mindset, your very internal architecture, really, and your consistency. Day after painful day sometimes. They're the ones everyone kind of knows they should develop. Those skills that feel like internal friction, but, few actually commit to that agonizing long-term effort required.
Yeah.
So, that's our mission today. We are diving deep into 12 difficult skills that promise permanent rewards. Rewards that truly pay off forever.
And we really have to emphasize that the difficulty factor, that friction you mentioned, it's the key to their value because these skills demand sustained effort and time.
Right.
And a real willingness to challenge your own comfort zones, your established mental patterns. They become these non-transferable assets once mastered.
Non-transferable, I like that.
Yeah, you can hire a consultant for advice, right? But you can't outsource your critical thinking. You can't delegate your emotional control.
Good goal.
These skills become foundational, really integrated parts of who you are. And that makes them unique sources of, well, competitive advantage.
Okay, let's unpack this then, starting with maybe the foundational layer, the core operating system, the part that dictates how we perceive the world, how we process information.
Yeah, the cognitive engine.
Let's call it cognition and expression. This brings us right to skill number 1, which sounds, well, deceptively simple.
It does. The first core operating skill is learning how to learn.
I often think of this as the meta skill. It sounds so basic, doesn't it? Like something we nailed when we were 5.
Right? Learn your ABCs.
Yeah, exactly. But the paradox our sources identify is that most people, they never truly master efficient learning strategies. They just default to these passive techniques they picked up in school.
Like highlighting everything.
Highlighting everything, reading notes over and over, or just memorizing facts purely for some upcoming exam. And then what happens?
Poof, gone a week later.
Exactly. The knowledge just vanishes.
And that passive approach, it's really the enemy of true mastery. Efficient learning is difficult because it requires active engagement. It requires intentional struggle.
Okay, so what does that look like?
Well, for instance, instead of just repetition, true learners leverage things like the testing effect, actively trying to recall information without looking at notes.
Right, forcing your brain to work.
Exactly. And spaced repetition, which is strategically scheduling review sessions just as you're about to forget something. It intercepts that natural memory decay.
So it forces the brain to retrieve the information again, which strengthens the pathways.
Precisely. That retrieval process is key.
So the main takeaway here isn't just about the time spent passively absorbing stuff. It's about the intensity, the efficiency of that retrieval process. If you really understand how your brain stores information, you could drastically cut down the time needed to pick up complex knowledge, right? Whether that's coding or a new language or
A whole new business model.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you think about the pace of change today,
Yeah.
I mean, AI tools, new market dynamics, completely new jobs popping up.
It's exponential.
It really is. The ability to learn efficiently is probably the single greatest competitive edge you can have. The payoff isn't just knowing one specific thing, it's having that self-updating meta skill.
The skill that keeps you current.
Exactly. It ensures you always stay relevant. You stay flexible, you remain valuable. It's genuinely like a lifelong insurance policy against, professional obsolescence.
That ability to stay relevant and to translate that internal understanding into external value, that links directly to our next core skill, doesn't it? Effective communication. Skill number 2.
It really does. And this is where brilliance often just hits a brick wall. You can have the deepest insights, the most amazing ideas, but if you can't translate them clearly, persuasively, concisely for other people,
They stay stuck in your head.
exactly, they remain trapped. And the world tends to reward clear external articulation, not necessarily silent genius.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting in the context of these difficult skills.
Yeah.
Why is communication actually difficult? The source material says mastery requires empathy and deep self-awareness.
Right.
It's not just about the words you use, it's about understanding your audience, their biases, their concerns, what they already know, so you can frame your message to actually land effectively.
That's the critical piece that often gets missed.
Yeah.
Communication mastery isn't just talking well. A huge part of it is about listening actively.
Which most people don't do.
Well, most people are really just listening to formulate their next brilliant response.
Waiting for their turn to talk. Yeah.
Not truly absorbing the nuances of what the other person is saying.
Yeah.
Active listening involves, asking clarifying questions, maybe summarizing their point to check you understood.
And paying attention to body language, too.
Absolutely. Focusing on nonverbal cues. That kind of intentional focus, it takes real energy, which is why it's difficult.
And the sources break this mastery down into 3 crucial pillars: learning to speak confidently, learning to listen actively, and learning to write persuasively. When you nail all 3, it fundamentally transforms how people see your influence.
It really does.
You stop being seen as just, a smart person who gets tasks done. You start being seen as a leader, maybe a negotiator, an influencer who actually shapes outcomes.
And the return on investment for mastering clear, empathetic communication, it's almost immediate and it's pervasive. These are the people who can negotiate better salaries, better deals.
Resolve conflicts more easily.
Definitely. Resolve conflicts by diffusing tension with precise language. Persuade stakeholders to back their vision. It just opens doors in every single area of life, personal and professional, often more so than just technical expertise alone.
Okay, speaking of clarity, the clarity of the message out there must start with clarity inside, right, in the internal processor. That brings us to the 3rd cognitive superpower in this section: critical thinking, skill number 8.
This skill,
Yeah.
wow, it's become arguably the most essential requirement for modern life, especially given the constant, overwhelming fire hose of information we're all dealing with.
Misinformation?
And misinformation and noise, absolutely. Our sources describe logical thinking as an absolute superpower in the current environment, and honestly, I think that's an understatement.
I think the difficulty of critical thinking lies right in that internal friction it creates. It means actively challenging your own deeply held assumptions, your biases, your beliefs.
It's uncomfortable.
Very. It requires recognizing and resisting confirmation bias, that really powerful human impulse to only seek out information that validates what you already think. It's just much easier, much more comfortable to accept the narrative that fits your worldview.
So mastering this requires intentional effort.
Yeah.
To step back, apply logical rigor. This means learning to spot common logical fallacies, like, straw man arguments or ad hominem attacks.
Things you see online constantly.
And separating actual data, verifiable facts, from anecdote and just emotion-driven opinion. It means asking yourself the hard question: what evidence would actually change my mind on this topic?
Oof. That question alone is a massive hurdle for most people, isn't it?
It really is.
Right.
But by developing that internal filter, by applying analysis logically, you protect yourself. This skill insulates you from manipulation, helps you distinguish high-quality info from low-quality noise.
And make decisions based on reality.
Exactly. Make decisions based on clear reality, independent of external pressure or emotional pulls.
And the payoff is profound. It's wisdom, essentially, reliable decision-making. As the source material wisely notes, this is a skill that ensures wisdom that never goes out of style.
I love that phrasing.
Me too. If you can consistently analyze complex situations, weigh competing viewpoints fairly, and make better logical decisions, you're just built for sustained success. In any field, regardless of how much the technology changes around you.
Absolutely. So those first 3, learning how to learn, effective communication, and critical thinking, that's like your cognitive engine.
Right.
But that engine relies heavily on the next set of skills, the 4 that make up the internal architecture, the framework of your mindset and your character.
Okay, this section feels like it addresses the part of mastery that's the most personal and maybe often the most painful: managing the self. Let's kick it off with emotional control. Skill number 3, which is fundamentally about emotional intelligence.
Right. This is really the mastery of reaction. When life delivers a genuine setback, a failure, maybe an unexpected crisis, a sudden conflict.
Stuff happens.
The default reaction for most people is immediate, It's involuntary, it's impulsive. It often shows up as anger or anxiety, defensiveness, sometimes even paralysis.
A fight, flight, or freeze response.
Exactly. It's often the body responding with that primitive amygdala hijack where the emotional brain just completely overrides the rational brain.
And that impulsive reaction almost always makes things worse, doesn't it? It damages relationships, leads to poor decisions made under pressure.
Almost invariably. So the strategic response, the one that defines the emotionally intelligent person, is learning to pause. It's about creating an intentional gap between the stimulus and your response.
That tiny window.
It's in that tiny, precious window, that moment of reflection. That's where the true power lies.
The difficulty here, though,
Yeah.
it feels huge.
It cannot be overstated. It takes significant conscious effort, intentional training, often using techniques like mindfulness or even just emotionally labeling the feeling.
Just naming it.
Yeah, simply saying to yourself, okay, I am feeling frustrated right now, or I am feeling defensive. That simple act of labeling helps move the emotional processing out of the amygdala, the reactive part.
And into the thinking part of the brain.
Exactly, into the prefrontal cortex, allowing for rational thought to come back online.
And once you really commit to developing this skill, the rewards sound like they could redefine your whole personal landscape.
They really can. You gain immense clarity in a crisis. You gain this unshakable confidence because your responses are measured. They're thought out. The ultimate payoff isn't just about avoiding shouting matches. It's this profound, lasting peace of mind.
Because you're in control.
Because you are no longer a slave to your immediate, fleeting feelings. You become the conductor of your internal orchestra, rather than just a passenger being tossed around.
That kind of sustained, focused effort. It brings us directly to skill number 7, which the source material boldly calls perhaps the hardest skill of all. Self-discipline.
This one's the bedrock.
This really feels like the bedrock engine for all consistent high performance. If emotional control is about stopping the negative impulse, self-discipline is about starting and sustaining the necessary positive action.
That's a great way to put it.
It's defined as the ability to perform required tasks even when you absolutely lack motivation or desire. The ability to act, especially as the source says, when you don't feel like it.
And the initial difficulty is just that agony of resistance, isn't it? Our natural state is to conserve energy, move towards comfort. Discipline forces us right into friction.
So how do we overcome that initial agony? What do the sources suggest?
They suggest it requires shifting the focus away from the outcome and more towards the identity. You don't just try to force yourself to do a disciplined task, you start trying to be a disciplined person.
The identity shift, that's powerful.
It's a subtle but critical reframe. And the mechanism of success is laid out clearly. Small acts of discipline build tiny habits. Those habits eventually compound, almost invisibly at first, then exponentially, into undeniable success.
We often look at successful people, athletes, entrepreneurs, and we just see the end result, the glory.
Right.
But we completely miss the daily, mundane discipline they mastered long before any success was visible. They did the work on the days they were tired, bored, uninspired.
Especially on those days. That's where discipline is truly forged. They performed the reps when no one was watching.
And discipline is where that long-term payoff really shows up, isn't it?
Absolutely. While the initial stages feel like painful resistance, once discipline becomes integrated into your identity, once it just becomes who you are, it stops being this constant struggle against yourself.
It becomes automatic.
It transforms into a system that grants you what the source calls unstoppable power, because you eliminate that daily mental wrestling match over what needs to get done. You just do it.
Now, achieving those long-term goals requires that self-discipline, definitely, but it also absolutely requires a complementary skill to manage expectations and the timeline: patience. Skill 10.
Patience. This one is fighting a huge societal current right now, isn't it?
Totally. We live in a culture that is almost pathologically addicted to speed. Instant everything.
Instant communication, instant service, instant results. We're conditioned to expect these linear, immediate returns on our effort, which of course leads to massive disappointment most of the time.
Because the reality of high-level achievement, whether it's skill acquisition, financial growth, building strong relationships, true, lasting success is rarely instantaneous.
It almost never is. It usually follows an exponential or compounding curve, where the early effort yields minimal apparent results.
And that's the danger zone. That's where most people quit.
Exactly. That's the plateau where motivation dies if you lack patience. Patience is difficult precisely because it requires this deep, almost philosophical trust.
Trust in what?
Trust in yourself. Trust in the process you've chosen. and fundamentally trust in time itself to do the compounding work. You have to believe that the tiny disciplined actions you took months ago are quietly accumulating value beneath the surface.
When you look at those who achieve real greatness, patience is clearly what separates them from those who just throw in the towel at the first major plateau or when things get tough.
Without a doubt. And the payoff is a complete lifestyle shift. It results in success that builds steadily and sustainably rather than just spiking and crashing. It grants you this unshakable mindset.
Right, unshakable.
Because you fundamentally understand and accept that all truly good things require the passage of time to mature. You're not rattled by the lack of instant results.
Okay, and tying this whole internal architecture section together, the final foundational skill is self-awareness. Skill 12. If discipline is the engine.
Self-awareness is the crucial navigation system. It keeps you on the right road.
Self-awareness. This means truly understanding your internal landscape, right? Your inherent strengths, your painful weaknesses, your emotional triggers, your non-negotiable core values.
Exactly.
On the surface, that sounds easy. Like, of course I know myself, but it's actually profoundly difficult.
It is difficult because it forces you to face uncomfortable, often challenging truths about yourself. It requires honest, sometimes painful introspection.
Like, why did I react so poorly in that meeting?
Exactly. Or why did I fail at that task that seems simple for others? Why do certain goals I set keep fading away? It means accepting responsibility for your internal state and recognizing patterns you'd probably rather ignore.
So how do you master this? It can't just be vague navel-gazing.
No, definitely not. You need structured mechanisms, not just random thoughts. This includes disciplined habits like, say, daily journaling, where you reflect on key moments or decisions.
Getting feedback, too.
Yes, actively soliciting critical feedback from trusted sources. And perhaps the hardest part, genuinely listening to that feedback without immediately getting defensive. That's a tough one.
It is. But the power you gain from true self-awareness is transformative. Without it, you're essentially flying blind. You're almost guaranteed to repeat the same mistakes.
Like choosing the wrong career path because it doesn't fit your values.
Or entering into the same kind of toxic professional relationship over and over. With self-awareness, you grow exponentially faster. You make highly optimized choices. You construct a life that truly aligns with who you are meant to be.
It's the ultimate alignment tool.
It really is. For lasting happiness and effectiveness.
Okay, so we've covered the internal architecture, the mindset, the cognition needed for mastery. Now let's pivot and look outward. How do these internal skills actually translate into maximizing external value and taking effective action in the world?
Right, putting it all into practice.
Let's start with an old favorite, one that still trips up even the most disciplined people. Time management. Skill 4.
Ah, yes. The source makes the profound point that time is the great equalizer. Rich or poor, successful or struggling, everyone gets exactly 24 hours.
No more, no less. No more, no less. So the massive difference we see in output is really a testament to the fact that some people just manage to achieve 10 times more within that same constraint. And the secret is definitely not just working harder.
It's working smarter.
It's working smarter. Absolutely.
And the difficulty of mastering time management, it seems to stem directly from the difficulty of those internal skills we just discussed. It requires massive discipline, unwavering focus.
It does. Time management is difficult because it forces you to make conscious, sometimes painful choices. You have to properly prioritize tasks, not just based on what feels urgent, but based on genuine long-term importance.
This is where those practical frameworks come in handy, right?
Exactly. Think about something like the Eisenhower matrix distinguishing between urgent and important. The real mastery lies in carving out and protecting blocks of focused time, often called deep work.
For the important but not urgent stuff.
Precisely. Those tasks like long-term strategic planning or deliberate skill acquisition, those are what drive exponential results.
Yeah.
But they're also the very first things people neglect when they feel overwhelmed by the urgent.
And crucially, time management mastery requires the difficult skill of saying a firm, confident no.
Oh, that's a big one.
Saying no to a low-value request is often much harder than saying yes, isn't it? Because yes gives you that immediate social gratification.
Right, you feel helpful in the moment.
While no protects your future focus, your energy, your high-leverage goals. When you master time, you stop just reacting to urgent crises, often invented by others, and you start proactively driving your own important agenda. The payoff is literal. Mastering time means mastering your life itself.
Well said. Next up is a skill that gives almost everyone cold sweats, partly, I think, because of that educational gap we touched on earlier. Financial literacy, skill 5.
Right. Our source material is spot on to highlight that schools consistently fail to teach this vital skill. And the result? Many smart, highly educated people, even folks with high incomes, remain financially illiterate.
And that limits their freedom, doesn't it? It creates unnecessary anxiety, and ultimately, it handcuffs their ability to control their own future.
Financial literacy goes way beyond just earning a big paycheck, too.
Oh, absolutely. It encompasses complex decisions about budgeting effectively, managing risk appropriately, saving strategically, and perhaps most importantly, investing wisely.
It's about understanding the mechanics of money.
Exactly. How inflation erodes value over time, how taxation really works, and the profound, slow-burning power of compound interest.
This skill feels initially difficult because the language of finance can be so opaque, intimidating almost.
It often feels like it was designed to keep outsiders out, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the payoff for pushing through that initial barrier is the ultimate freedom and control over your own trajectory.
You learn how to grow money, how to protect it from eroding, and most critically, how to make your money start working for you instead of you perpetually just working for it.
That fundamental shift, it changes everything. The risks you can take in your career, the baseline level of anxiety in your life.
It removes a massive source of stress. It really does. Speaking of anxiety and control, let's talk about negotiation. Skill 6. The word itself often conjures up these images of aggressive, high-stakes corporate battles.
Yeah, like winner-takes-all scenarios.
Right. But the source reframes this brilliantly.
It does. It points out that life is basically a continuous series of negotiations, whether you're asking for a raise, mediating a disagreement with a client, or, simply deciding where to go for dinner with your partner.
True. Negotiation, as the source defines it, isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding value, yours and theirs, applying empathy, and deploying persuasion effectively.
So the difficulty here lies in controlling your own ego and resisting that urge to just win at all costs.
Absolutely. Successful negotiation demands patience. It demands high emotional intelligence, that skill we talked about earlier. You need to read the room accurately, suppress your gut instinct to react defensively to maybe a low blow.
Stay calm,
and clearly articulate the mutual value proposition. It's really about creating a solution that benefits both parties enough that the agreement actually holds up long term.
And the return on investment here seems pretty immediate and quantifiable.
It really is. Better negotiation skills can literally earn you tens, even hundreds of thousands more dollars over your career.
Wow.
It can save you immense time and stress by resolving conflicts efficiently, both internally and externally. And, maybe surprisingly, it builds stronger, more sustainable professional relationships.
How so?
Because you've demonstrated a capacity to genuinely understand the other party's perspective, not just push your own agenda. That builds trust.
Okay, now let's move to a skill that makes you instantly indispensable in pretty much any organization. Problem solving. Skill number 9.
Every challenge, regardless of its scale, could be a tiny technical glitch on a team project, could be a massive strategic pivot required for a global company. It ultimately boils down to a problem needing a solution.
A defined, executed solution. And people who reliably solve problems are universally valued and rewarded.
They really are. And the ideal problem solver, as defined by the sources, isn't necessarily the most brilliant theoretical thinker. It's often someone who remains incredibly calm under pressure.
That emotional control again.
Exactly. Someone who can analyze the situation methodically, quickly generate and vet potential solutions, and then take decisive action. It's not about panicking or getting bogged down in assigning blame.
No blame game.
No blame game. It's about focused analysis and rapid execution towards a solution.
The difficulty here seems to be that this skill really only grows through exposure. You have to face complex, pressurized situations.
That's right. You can't really learn deep problem solving from a textbook. You learn it by facing problems, maybe failing at first, learning from it and trying again. The more problems you successfully navigate,
the better you get at it.
The better you become at spotting patterns, diagnosing the true root causes, and implementing effective, often repeatable fixes.
And once mastered, that individual becomes incredibly valuable everywhere. Every business, every leader, every successful team is actively looking for and highly rewards the reliable problem solver.
If you can walk into a chaotic situation and calmly create order, identify the issue, and map out a clear path forward, you possess a level of professional currency that just cannot be overstated.
Okay, and finally, rounding out this external application section, we have adaptability, skill 11.
Right. The central premise of our environment, maybe of life itself, is that change is the only constant.
You hear that all the time.
And it applies constantly. New technology disrupting industries, unpredictable economic cycles, shifts in consumer behavior, changes in job markets. It never stops.
And those who can adapt, who can embrace the new tools, the new rules, the new environments, they're the ones who thrive.
Conversely, those who cling rigidly to the way we've always done it, they inevitably fall behind. They often become irrelevant over time. Adaptability is incredibly tough, psychologically tough.
Why?
Because it requires challenging your deep-seated psychological comfort zone repeatedly. It means consciously choosing the steep, uncomfortable learning curve over the easy, familiar path.
It requires having what Carol Dweck calls a growth mindset, doesn't it?
Exactly. The core belief that your abilities and intelligence aren't fixed, but can be developed through effort, dedication, and learning from failure. When you master adaptability, you transform failure from some terminal event into just feedback, data. You become proactive, constantly scanning the horizon for the next change, rather than just waiting passively for change to hit you.
And the reward for that sustained mental challenge, that willingness to be uncomfortable, it's continuous growth.
Continuous growth. When you learn to embrace change, not as an obstacle to stability, but as a necessity for evolution, you keep yourself perpetually ready for anything life throws your way. It ensures career longevity and personal vitality, really regardless of external circumstances.
Wow. Okay, so if you look back at all these 12 difficult skills, from learning how to learn right through to adaptability, the overarching theme is just undeniably clear, isn't it?
It really is.
They are difficult because they require that deep internal effort, that sometimes painful consistency, and the sheer passage of time. But because they demand that level of internal investment,
They become permanent.
they become permanent, deeply integrated assets that absolutely cannot be taken away from you.
They really form the bedrock of capability. Whether you face a sudden career pivot, a major financial decision, or even a personal crisis, these skills, your ability to learn new paths, to manage your stress and emotional triggers, to use your time efficiently, to think critically, they will consistently guide you towards the better outcome.
So, what does this all mean for you, the listener, right now? I mean, the sheer scale of 12 difficult skills, it can feel overwhelming, right?
Absolutely. Where do you even start?
Exactly. That's why the source suggests a really powerful starting method. Forget the other 11 for now. Just start small. Pick just one skill from this list that resonated most deeply with you, maybe the one that felt most lacking or most needed. Focus on just that one and commit to improving just a tiny amount, like 1%, every single day.
That consistency compounds.
It really does. Consistent, small effort applied over months always beats massive, sporadic effort applied once every quarter when you feel motivated.
And it's about recognizing that the discomfort you feel in the initial journey towards mastering that skill, that's actually a powerful indicator. It means you are investing in a future asset. As the saying goes, the hardest skills build the strongest people.
Which brings us perfectly to our final provocative thought based on everything we've covered today. Take a moment, just reflect, and look back at these 12 difficult skills we discussed. Self-discipline, emotional control, financial literacy, critical thinking, all of them. Which one among them, honestly, is currently your biggest, most resistant roadblock? The one you know you should work on, but keep avoiding?
Think about that specific resistance.
Yeah.
That friction point. Recognizing the skill you most resist practicing, the one that feels hardest for you right now.
Yeah.
And then consciously dedicating yourself to overcoming that specific difficult challenge, that offers you the single greatest potential for transformation. Not just in your professional achievements, but in the peace, the control, and the wisdom you gain across every single stage of your life. Start with your hardest friction point, and you might just find everything else starts to become a little bit easier. Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Our mission, as always, is to take all this complex info, sift through the research, and pull out the really useful, actionable stuff for you.
Exactly.
And today we're diving into something pretty appealing. The idea of making your life better, like right now, instantly. But, and this is key, we're skipping the whole blow everything up and start again approach. That rarely works, does it?
Almost never. It's too much, too fast.
Right. So instead, we're focusing on a much smarter principle, really.
Yeah.
The idea that true, lasting change comes from small things, tiny habits you do every single day, consistently.
That's spot on. And for you listening, this deep dive is really important because it tackles that feeling of being overwhelmed. You know, when you think about changing your life and it just seems huge.
Yeah, the paralysis.
Exactly. Trying to change everything overnight, it sets you up for failure. So the material we looked at, it boils down to 12 specific actions. 12 measurable steps you can literally start today. And they're designed to boost your mood, sharpen your focus, give you more energy, basically shifting you from constantly feeling like you're chasing the day to actually leading it with intention.
Okay, I like that framing, leading the day. So let's unpack these 12. We went through a ton of stuff, behavioral science papers, productivity books, psych studies.
Yeah, a real mix.
And it seems these 12 habits kind of group together naturally.
You do. We can sort of see themes emerging.
So we'll start with the foundation.
Yeah.
Getting control over your time, your space, even your mindset.
Setting the stage.
Then we'll get into protecting your energy, fuel, movement, saying no sometimes.
Usual stuff. Boundaries.
Absolutely. And finally, we'll cover cultivating that inner clarity and making sure you keep growing, learning.
It's about building a solid personal operating system, really. But piece by piece, small tweaks adding up.
Okay, let's get into it. Section 1, establishing control.
Right. So the foundation, this is where it starts. A lot of the research we saw kept coming back to this idea. External chaos. It creates internal stress. Simple as that.
Makes sense.
And control here isn't about, ruling the world. It's about mastering your immediate environment, your desk, your schedule, and maybe most importantly, how you react to everything.
Controlling the response.
Exactly. So this first batch of habits is all about creating a calm, structured base before the day's craziness hits you.
Okay, habit number 1. And this is probably the one people groan about the most. Waking up earlier.
The classic.
Yeah, but the insight from the research is interesting. We're not talking about some brutal 5 a.m. boot camp if you're not used to it.
No, not a huge shock to the system.
It's suggesting maybe just 30 minutes earlier than you do now. So if you wake up at 8, try 7-3 big. Why is that small window? Just 30 minutes, apparently, so potent.
Well, you called it the gift of time, and that's part of it. But psychologically, the real power comes from the feeling of, authorship, of being in charge.
Authorship.
Think about it. When your alarm screams at the very last second...
Yeah, panic mode.
Right. You're instantly reacting. You're behind. Chasing the clock, rushing to meet demands that are already piling up. But woke up just 30 minutes earlier, you seize control. Your brain, especially the planning part, the prefrontal cortex, it's fresh. It hasn't been hit yet by urgent emails or stressful news or what everyone else wants from you.
Okay, I get the theory. But let's talk reality for the listener. What about night owls? I mean, is this just a thing for morning people? Losing 30 minutes of precious sleep seems counterproductive if it makes you exhausted all day.
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
And the sources are clear. Consistency beats brute force. You absolutely shouldn't sacrifice needed sleep.
Right.
The goal isn't just less sleep, it's shifting your whole sleep cycle gradually. Maybe start with just 15 minutes earlier for a week, see how that feels, then maybe another 15.
No, a gradual shift.
And crucially, what you do in that extra time matters. It has to be personal, not work.
Okay. Not checking emails first thing.
Definitely not. It's about peace. Maybe some light stretching. Or journaling, just 3 quick lines about your intention for the day. Or just sitting quietly with coffee, no phone. By prioritizing your peace first, you kind of build this calm resilience that helps you handle whatever the morning throws at you. You're leading, not reacting.
That really does reframe it. It's less about the clock time and more about the mental state it creates, being ahead of the curve mentally.
Exactly. It's the difference between starting the race already sprinting and out of breath versus walking calmly to the starting line, ready.
Okay, so from managing time, we move naturally to managing space. And these two are deeply connected for mental clarity.
I believe it. When my desk is a mess, my brain feels messy.
That's exactly what modern cognitive psychology shows. Physical clutter and digital clutter, too. It literally drains your mental energy. Every stray paper, every overflowing drawer, every useless icon on your phone screen.
Yeah.
It's like a tiny open loop in your brain. Something unfinished demanding a little bit of attention. Wow. Open cognitive loops. That makes sense. It feels like my brain has to notice the mess before it can focus.
Precisely. And the sources say the key is to start small, which makes it doable.
No huge weekend clear out needed immediately.
Not necessarily. It's about tackling what psychologists call decision fatigue. If finding your keys means moving 5 things first, you've already made 5 tiny draining decisions before you even walk out the door. The fix. Micro-decluttering. 5 minutes a day. Seriously, just 5 minutes. Tidy your immediate workspace. Organize one single shelf. Or, and this is important, delete 10 old files or unused apps off your phone.
Digital clutter.
Yeah.
People forget about that one, but the research we saw really emphasized it. Why is cleaning up my phone's downloads folder as important as, say, wiping the kitchen counter?
Because it still eats up cognitive resources. When you unlock your phone and see, 50 unread emails, notifications from apps you never use, your brain logs those as unfinished tasks, even subconsciously.
Even if you ignore them.
Right. The underlying mechanism is simple. A clean, organized space, physical or digital, reduces sensory overload. Less visual noise.
Calmer visual field, calmer.
Exactly. Your mind can actually relax, breathe easier, think more clearly. It reinforces that core idea. Your outer world mirrors your inner world. Want inner peace. Tidy up your outer world first. It's an instant clarity boost.
Okay, so we've claimed some morning time. We've started clearing the space around us. Now the focus shifts inward.
Yeah.
Right? Defending our mental peace.
Precisely. And this is where we combat a really strong default human tendency.
Which is?
We're basically wired to notice threats, problems, what's missing. It's evolution. Kept us alive.
A negativity bias.
Exactly. We scan for danger. But in modern life, that often translates to focusing on scarcity, frustration, what we don't have. Gratitude is the conscious tool to flip that script.
Moving from external controlled time and space to internal control. Mindset.
Yes. You're essentially retraining your brain's filter. It's called the reticular activating system, the RAS. It decides what information gets your attention. If you prime your RAS to look for problems all day, trust me, it will find them everywhere.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
But if you consciously train it to look for the good stuff, the blessings, the things working well, it starts noticing those instead.
That makes sense. But how do you actually do that training? How do you make it stick? I know people try gratitude journals and it feels, forced, a bit fake sometimes.
That's a fair point. The key identified in the research is specificity and consistency. The most effective method seems to be writing down 3 specific things you're genuinely grateful for each day.
Specificity is key.
Absolutely. Not just, I'm grateful for my family. Too broad. Make it concrete. I'm grateful my partner made coffee this morning. Or, I'm grateful I caught the train just in time. Or even, I'm grateful for this quiet moment right now.
Small, tangible things.
Yes. Those small, positive events are the leverage points. You do it daily, maybe morning or night.
And what's the actual payoff? Is it just feeling a bit nicer, or is something deeper happening?
Oh, it's much deeper. There's real physiological change. Studies are linking regular gratitude practice to improved vagal tone.
Vagal tone, what's that?
It relates to the vagus nerve, which is like the superhighway connecting your brain and body. It influences heart rate, digestion, breathing, your whole stress response system.
Wow.
Higher vagal tone means better emotional regulation, less anxiety, even reduced inflammation markers. So practicing gratitude isn't just a nice thought. You're literally strengthening your body's ability to handle stress.
So over time, it's not just a mood boost, it actually changes how you perceive things.
Fundamentally, you start seeing life differently. You complain less, appreciate more. It cultivates genuine, sustainable happiness, that underlying contentment, not just chasing fleeting pleasures.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork. Control over time, space, initial mindset. Now, section 2 feels like it's about maintaining that, protecting the engine.
Exactly. It's about the physical and psychological resources you need to keep these improvements going. You can have the best intentions, but if you're running on empty, none of it sticks.
Right. Burnout is the enemy of consistency.
Precisely. So this section is all about guarding and maximizing your core energy, making sure you have fuel in the tank. First up, movement. The body is our home base, our energy source, and it's built to move. The consensus in health psychology is clear. Daily movement isn't just nice to have. It's basically non-negotiable for feeling instantly better.
Yeah, it's fundamental. Our primary vessel, as you say, movement is the maintenance.
Keeps it running smoothly.
But here's the sticking point for many listeners, right?
Right.
The word exercise often conjures up images of grueling gym sessions, hours of sweat.
The all or nothing trap.
Yeah. But the research we looked at was much more flexible, wasn't it? What's the minimum effective dose here for those immediate benefits?
The emphasis, especially for the mental boost, is consistency over intensity. Think movement snack, not a 5-course fitness feast.
Movement snack. I like that.
A brisk 20-minute walk counts. 15 minutes of stretching while listening to this counts. Taking the stairs instead of the elevator consistently counts. dancing around your kitchen definitely counts.
Okay.
It's about something called neat non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Basically, weaving more movement into your day naturally. Doesn't have to be structured exercise. Just move with purpose.
Okay, let's talk about the chemical payoff.
Right.
Because that's the instant improvement part, right?
Yeah.
So we mentioned endorphins. What's actually happening in the brain and body that cuts stress so fast?
Right. So when you move, your body perceives it as a mild physical stressor. In response, it releases endorphins. These are kind of like the body's natural painkillers and mood elevators. They create that runner's high feeling even from moderate activity.
They feel good hormones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But crucially, movement also helps manage cortisol. That's your main stress hormone. Chronic stress means your cortisol levels are constantly high, which is damaging.
Right.
Very. But even a 20-minute walk helps your body process and clear out that excess cortisol. It helps bring your system back into balance, back towards calm, that chemical rebalancing. That's the instant stress reduction and mood lift.
And then long term, connecting it back, the visible stuff.
Yeah.
Better posture, more energy day to day that feeds back into how you feel mentally, right? Standing taller literally makes you feel more confident.
Absolutely. It's a powerful positive feedback loop. Physical capability builds psychological resilience. Okay, next. The fuel you put into that body we just talked about moving. Diet.
Often framed just around weight loss, but our deep dive really highlighted the brain connection, didn't it?
Overwhelmingly. The focus was squarely on how food directly impacts your cognitive function, your mood, your ability to sustain energy throughout the day. Think of it as optimizing your brain's power source.
That's a great way to put it. And again, we're not pushing for some crazy restrictive diet here. It's about small, immediate tweaks that stabilize your system. What were the biggest leverage points?
Yeah.
The easiest swaps?
The rule of one swap seemed really effective in the studies. Instead of a massive overhaul, which is hard to stick to, just commit to one simple, high-impact change.
Okay, like what?
1, seriously upping your water intake. Most people are chronically dehydrated. 2, adding just one serving of fruit or veggies to a meal where you usually wouldn't have any. Or 3, cutting out one sugary drink per day, just one soda or sugary coffee.
And the mechanism behind why these work so quickly?
Blood sugar stability is huge. Processed foods, sugary stuff, they send your blood sugar on a roller coaster. Big spike, then a big crash.
The 3 p.m. slump.
That's it, exactly. And that crash comes with irritability, brain fog, zero focus. Eating cleaner, whole foods helps keep your blood sugar much more level.
No more roller coaster. And hydration must be massive too. Our brains are what, like 75% water?
Something like that, yeah. Absolutely crucial. Even being mildly dehydrated, just a 1 or 2% drop in body water significantly messes with your attention, your memory, your thinking. Water is fundamental for neurotransmitters to work properly. So when you start seeing food and water less as just stuff you consume and more as direct fuel for your brain's performance,
You make better choices.
instantly, you become more discerning. And the outcome is tangible. Eat clean, feel clean, mentally sharp, physically better, which leads to better sleep.
The feedback loop again.
Exactly. Better sleep means better decisions tomorrow, making it easier to stick with all these habits. It all connects.
Okay, this next one might be the trickiest psychologically for a lot of people, but maybe the one that gives back the most power instantly. Learning to say no.
Huge.
The pressure to just say yes to every request, every meeting, every social thing, it's immense. And it leads straight to burnout.
It's a core concept from economics, actually. Opportunity cost.
Okay.
Every time you say yes to something that doesn't truly align with your priorities or well-being.
Or saying no to something else.
Exactly. You're silently saying no to your own rest, your focus time, your personal goals, maybe even just 5 minutes of peace. We're conditioned to worry about seeming rude or selfish if we say no.
Totally. That's the big fear.
But the sources we looked at frame it completely differently. Saying no when necessary isn't selfish. It's self-respect. It's managing your boundaries.
Okay, theory sounds good, but let's get practical. How do you actually say no to, say, your boss who keeps piling things on? Or a family member who always asks for too much without, torching the relationship? Did the research offer any scripts, strategies?
It did. And the key is how you frame the no. You don't need to over-apologize or make excuses.
Right.
Express brief regret that you can't help this time, and then clearly state the commitment you are protecting. So instead of, sorry, I can't do that, try something like, thanks for asking. Unfortunately, I'm fully committed to finishing Project X by the deadline this week, so I won't be able to take on anything else right now.
So you state the positive commitment.
Yes. Or for family. I'd genuinely love to help, but I've promised myself I need that downtime on Saturday morning to recharge. It makes the no about prioritizing your existing commitments, not about rejecting the person.
I like that. It reframes it as responsible management, not avoidance.
Exactly. It is self-respect. It's boundary management. You're protecting the very energy you need to fuel all these other positive habits. Remember the saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. Saying no strategically keeps your cup from running dry. It's an instant restoration of autonomy and energy.
All right, so we've covered controlling the external time and space and protecting the internal engine fuel, movement, boundaries. Now we really go inside.
Deeper dive.
Yeah. This section is about strategies for internal growth, for reflection, and maybe most importantly, how to turn all these good intentions into actual consistent action.
Okay, first up here, spending time alone. Which feels almost countercultural in our always-on, hyper-connected world, doesn't it?
It really does. Silence and solitude are almost endangered species, and we tend to mix up being alone with being lonely. But the research draws a sharp line, right? Healthy alone time is actually vital.
Absolutely vital. It's not about loneliness, it's about clarity. It's about giving your brain the chance to switch into what scientists call the default mode network, or DMN.
The default mode network.
Yep.
Okay, what does that do?
The DMN is basically what lights up when you're not focused on an outside task. When you're daydreaming, reflecting, letting your mind wander freely, that's where the deep processing happens. Your brain integrates experiences, makes connections between ideas, consolidates memories, works through problems subconsciously.
But if we're always feeding it input.
Exactly. Constant scrolling, podcasts, talking, noise. You never let the DMN do its essential work. You starve it.
I find this one really hard, honestly. Filling every gap seems automatic. So what's the actionable step here? How do we carve out this solitude without it feeling weird or unproductive?
The key is intentional, active solitude, not just passively zoning out. Aim for maybe just 15 minutes a day where you are genuinely free from distractions.
15 minutes, okay.
No phone, no music, no social media feed, no task list, just you maybe sitting quietly, maybe a silent walk, maybe just looking out the window.
And what if it feels anxious at first? That silence can be loud.
That initial anxiety is actually a good sign. It means your brain is craving that processing time but isn't used to getting it. It's like an engine sputtering back to life.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So lean into the discomfort of that.
Exactly. Push through it gently. Because the benefit on the other side is huge. That quiet allows you to reconnect with your own thoughts, your own feelings, unfiltered by external noise.
Find out what you actually think and want.
Precisely. You start to understand your true desires, your core values. It fosters incredible clarity, boosts creativity because your mind can make novel connections, and builds rock-solid self-awareness. It's essential mental maintenance. Okay, next habit. This one tackles probably the single biggest reason people give up on big goals.
Which is?
Trying to do too much too fast. We have this funny bias. We wildly overestimate what we can get done in a week. And then we massively underestimate what we can achieve over a year or two with consistent effort. It leads to overwhelm, burnout, and then just abandoning the goal altogether.
Yeah, that feeling when a goal seems so huge, like writing a book or saving a big chunk of money, it's paralyzing. You don't even start. So the solution is?
Consistency, compounding returns. It's the magic of the 1% rule.
Break it down small.
Break it down ridiculously small. So small it feels almost too easy to do each day or week. But, and this is crucial, you make that tiny step non-negotiable.
Examples.
Want to get fit? Don't aim for an hour workout 5 times a week right away. Commit to just 10 minutes of movement every single day. Want to write that book? Commit to just 50 words a day. Seriously, 50 words.
It sounds trivial.
It feels trivial, but the scale of the action doesn't matter nearly as much as the consistency of the action. Think of Jerry Seinfeld's Don't Break the Chain method. Marking off each day you do the tiny habit creates a visible chain of success. That visual cue is powerful.
Okay, but what's happening psychologically? Why do those tiny, consistent wins motivate us more than, say, one massive effort once a month?
Dopamine, our favorite reward chemical.
Brain chemistry again.
Always.
Yeah.
When you successfully complete a task, even a tiny one, your brain releases a little hit of dopamine. It feels good. That pleasure reinforces the behavior, making you more likely to do it again tomorrow.
Creates a positive feedback loop.
Exactly. You start building momentum. Conversely, set a huge goal, fail early, negative feedback loop, discouragement, quitting. But every small, consistent win builds confidence, and that confidence fuels more action. Over time, those tiny steps, compounded day after day, lead to genuinely massive transformations. It's the slow, steady tortoise winning the race.
Okay, we're into the final stretch. We've established control, protected our energy, learned the power of tiny, consistent actions. This last section seems to be about managing what comes in media, people, and making sure we keep moving forward.
That's a great summary. It's about curating your inputs and ensuring you don't just maintain, but actually keep growing, keep expanding, preventing stagnation. First up, tackling the screen beast, the great paradox of our time, right? These devices connect us in amazing ways.
But they also shatter our focus.
Completely. They deplete our mental energy. Screens are incredible tools, obviously, but when they're used habitually, reactively, that endless scroll, the constant notification checking, they become thieves, stealing focus, stealing time, stealing peace. We have to consciously manage this input stream.
The science on why scrolling is so addictive is pretty clear now, isn't it? It's like a slot machine for your brain.
Exactly. A variable reward system. You never know what the next swipe will bring, something interesting, something boring, so you keep swiping, chasing that little dopamine hit. It leads to digital fatigue, low-grade anxiety.
So what are the practical strategies? How do we break that loop? What do the sources recommend?
Setting clear boundaries. Specific screen-free zones and times. The first hour after waking is huge, linking back to that morning control habit. Don't inject the world's anxiety into your brain first thing.
Makes sense. What else?
Screen-free meals. Really commit to putting phones away when you eat, especially with others. The bedroom is another big one, making it a device-free sanctuary for sleep and connection.
And maybe even tech tweaks. I've heard about grayscale mode.
Yeah, that's surprisingly effective. Setting your phone display to grayscale makes those colorful, stimulating apps suddenly look, well, boring. It dramatically reduces the visual pull, the novelty that keeps you hooked.
Okay, so we create these boundaries, we put the phone down, but then what? It's easy to feel lost for a second, that urge to pick it back up. What's the replacement activity?
The key is shifting from passive consumption to active engagement with the real world.
Do something real.
Exactly. Step outside for 5 minutes, have an actual conversation with someone nearby, read a physical book. Or just use that reclaimed time for that silent reflection we talked about earlier. Let your brain process. The less time staring passively at a screen, the more time you genuinely have to live, to think your own thoughts, to connect. It directly boosts productivity and just your feeling of being present. Okay, next habit. This one's about managing a different kind of input, the people around us. Recognizing the power of our social environment.
The old saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Is there truth to that?
A lot of truth, according to the research on social influence. The people in your close circle, your reference group, they profoundly shape your mindset, your expectations, your habits, and ultimately where you end up.
It's like behavioral contagion, right? Attitudes and habits spreading like a cold.
That's a great analogy. Positive energy, ambition, healthy habits, they're definitely contagious. But unfortunately...
So is the opposite.
Exactly. Negativity, complaining, complacency, unhealthy habits, they're just as infectious, if not more so sometimes. You have to be deliberate about who you let influence you.
It's an act of self-preservation almost.
It really is. Actively choose to spend more time with people who uplift you, people who inspire you, who challenge you in a good way, who genuinely root for you and celebrate your wins.
And why is that so powerful?
Because your social circle sets the bar. They establish the norm. If your closest friends are constantly learning, growing, striving, that becomes your baseline. Their ambition pulls you up.
And this flip side.
If your circle is constantly negative, gossiping, stuck in victim mode,
Yeah.
you have to spend a huge amount of your precious mental energy just resisting being dragged down to that level. It's exhausting.
Okay, but this brings us back to the difficulty of saying no, or maybe even distancing ourselves. How do you handle stepping back from relationships, maybe long-term ones, that are consistently draining? That's hard.
It's incredibly hard. But the sources were quite clear. It's not only acceptable, but sometimes necessary to prune relationships that consistently deplete you more than they uplift you.
Pruning, like a gardener.
Exactly. It's not about being cruel or cutting people off dramatically necessarily. Sometimes it's just about consciously managing proximity and exposure, gently reducing the time spent.
Choosing interactions more carefully.
Yes. Prioritizing relationships that leave you feeling lighter, more energized, more optimistic. Not ones that consistently make you feel heavy, defensive, or drained. Protecting your mental and emotional energy is vital.
All right, we're at the final pair of habits. And these feel like they're about long-term fuel, intellectual fuel, keeping the mind sharp and engaged.
Precisely. Ensuring perpetual growth. First, the input side. Reading every day.
The sources called books a kind of time machine, didn't they?
Yeah, I loved that analogy. Books let you download wisdom, insights, experiences directly from the greatest minds in history or the most imaginative storytellers, all for the price of a few hours of your attention. It's an incredible ROI.
And again, the bar for entry is low to ensure consistency.
Super low. Just 10 or 15 minutes a day. That's it. Find 10 minutes.
And the benefits.
Huge neurological benefits. Reading forces sustained focus, which is like a workout for your attention span in this distractible age. It builds vocabulary, obviously. But more deeply, it layers your understanding of the world, whether it's biographies, history, science, or even great fiction. It gives you new perspectives, new mental models.
Mental cross-training.
Perfect term for it. Keeps the mind flexible and strong.
Okay, so that's the input. But input isn't enough on its own, right? The final habit is about engagement, output, keeping learning actively.
Yes. This is the commitment to never stop learning. It goes beyond just reading. It's about actively acquiring new skills, picking up challenging hobbies, maybe taking an online course in something totally new, listening to educational podcasts or documentaries with intention.
So staying curious and engaged.
Actively engaged. This continuous learning builds what scientists call cognitive reserve.
Cognitive reserve.
It's like your brain's backup capacity. Its ability to cope with challenges, find alternative solutions, and resist decline as we age. The more you learn, the more connections you build, the more resilient your brain becomes.
And connecting this last habit to the big picture, this feels like it's about purpose, meaning.
Absolutely. Learning keeps your brain sharp, yes. It keeps your confidence high because you're constantly adding to your capabilities. But fundamentally, it keeps life interesting. Growth itself is deeply fulfilling. It prevents that feeling of stagnation, of just going through the motions. It ensures your personal story is always evolving, always moving forward.
Wow. Okay, so that's the 12. We've really broken them down, claiming the morning, decluttering, gratitude, movement, fuel, boundaries, solitude, small goals, managing screens, curating people, reading, and lifelong learning.
A comprehensive toolkit.
They seem small individually, don't they? Almost deceptively simple.
They do. But the power isn't in any single habit on its own. It's in the consistency. The cumulative effect over time is where the monumental impact comes from.
Right, consistency compounds.
And that brings us to the final, absolutely crucial takeaway for you listening. Please don't try to implement all 12 of these starting tomorrow.
Recipe for disaster.
Total overwhelm. The quickest way to fail and give up. The goal isn't perfection across the board right away. It's just progress.
One step at a time.
Exactly. Pick one. Just one habit from this list that really resonated with you. Maybe the one that felt most needed, or maybe the one that felt easiest to start.
Maybe the 15 minutes of quiet time, or the 10 minutes of reading.
Whatever it is, commit to that one thing. Practice it daily. Make it automatic. So ingrained, it's just part of who you are, how you operate, like brushing your teeth.
Don't even think about it anymore.
Right. Only then, once that first habit is truly locked in, should you even think about adding the next one. Build layer by layer.
Slow and steady wins the transformation. So since we know these small, immediate wins are what build confidence, and those tiny steps really are the secret sauce for huge long-term change, the final question for you to think about is this. Which one? Which of these 12 habits will be your very first small step? The one you commit to today to start shifting your trajectory.
Great question to leave people with.
Thank you for diving deep with us once again. We'll catch you next time.